Hello friends, and welcome back. This week I am going to do something that I've never done on the channel before. I feel like that's something that I say every single week. You can't tell me you don't have an article of clothing in your closet that still exists from bygone days that you still wear, that you wish the company still made because you would buy it again in every single color if you could. Yes, I do. I'm sure you do too. So I have two pairs of Old Navy linen slacks from more years ago than I can count. I'm going to say the late 90s because I'm pretty sure I bought them my freshman year of college. I have them in both black and in white. And the thing that makes them so amazing by comparison to today's products is that A, they were, these have been worn so many times that I can't even read the label anymore. And the fact that they're still in good shape, like that's a testament to even how well things were made 25 years ago. Like, the fact that these are still in my wardrobe and I wear them at least every other week. I will say this, when I lived in Colorado, it was significantly less frequent. And in all fairness, linen isn't exactly something that you wear in Colorado, so when I was living there for 6 years, they were pretty much reserved for vacations and such. So they did get a good 6-year break. But I am determined to recreate to the T these Old Navy linen pants that I absolutely refuse to give up, and I want in more colors. Why not just go out and buy more linen pants, you ask? One, nothing is actually made from linen anymore. There's always some kind of blend. And two, I really do like this cut, and I like the yoga pant waistband. Everything with the more paper bag waistband I feel like adds too much bulk to my middle, which for my body type doesn't work. So the third reason why I absolutely want this cut, I love the fact that it actually goes all the way to the floor. In looking through some of the more current versions, they tend to like stop longer than a capri length. They just tend to stop in a weird place, and on me I tend to find that because I have short legs and a long torso. I'm tall, I'm very tall, but proportionately almost all of my height is in my torso, not in my legs. And so when I wear pants that end above my ankles, it makes me look even more squat and stunted. And regardless of trend, I feel like it's always important to dress for your body type, not what's trendy. And so I do take into consideration that those longer lines and actually having a pant leg that goes all the way down to the top of my shoe is important. And because I live in a warmer climate, wearing things like espadrilles is not uncommon. And so I want a little bit of height and length to it. And so it's just one of those things where it makes me feel a little bit more comfortable in my own skin when cuts of the pant is appropriate to my body shape. I will say this, I even looked to see if I could find if there were others floating around the interwebs, and I was successful in finding him in a small on Poshmark. I've always had a big butt. I've never been a size small, so that's not even an option. They were originally $32.94. So I would like to keep my purchasing budget under that. And so I'm gonna go up to the fabric store, see what we can find. The rumor has it, it's not really a rumor because I saw it there 2 or 3 days ago, but Robert Kaufman linens are on clearance for $5 a yard at my local fabric store. So I should definitely be able to keep within that ballpark. And even then, if I spend $10 a yard on my linen, that's not that big of a deal, but I'd rather not if I don't have to. All right, let's go shopping. I'm back. While I was out gallivanting, I ended up buying linen from the Robert Kaufman clearance supply at Hobby Lobby. However, the color options that they had were like the spring colors or colors that I already have. And I have no interest in a pair of baby pink linen pants. However, I did have success next door at Ross's. I was curious if they had anything in the tablecloth section. In the past, I have gotten actual linen tablecloths and napkins from Ross's and TJ Maxx in the past. And so I hopped in there just on a whim. Lo and behold, it was $11.99 and it's 60 by 105. So that is the equivalent of 2.8 yards. That should be more than sufficient to make a pair of slacks out of. The other thing that I absolutely adored about this, look at this cute little edging. I feel like I want to try and incorporate this into the hem of the pants. And then to tell me that this wasn't even more perfect, I had already started going through my closet and pulling clothes that needed repair work for one reason or another, or just needed to be retired. And I happened to have a jersey t-shirt. It's originally from Target, but it's one of my favorite t-shirts. I've worn it pretty regularly. The pit stains are getting pretty bad. And then the other thing is that my cat has a tendency of climbing me, and so I get little puncture holes where he grips. So literally this section of this t-shirt is not usable, but this section of the t-shirt still is. And so what I'm thinking is I'm gonna make the waistband out of this t-shirt out of my closet, and this is the body of the pants. But tell me, this was not meant to be. Color-wise, spot on. Yes. I need to get this stuff in the washing machine so that I can pre-shrink everything. I would rather everything be pre-shrunk before I cut my pants out of it than have a nice fitting pair of pants, then the first time I go to wash them, they shrink. So I'm gonna get these in the washing machine. While they're laundering, I'm gonna trace these pants so I can't be wearing them.
To create my pattern pieces, I'm starting out with a plain white roll of wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree. And now I've got my linen pants turned inside out with one leg inside the other so that it's laying on my wrapping paper here as one piece. And then I could use pattern weights or I could pin. I'm gonna try my pattern weights, see how well it holds, and go from there. I'm also using my ruler to build in my 5/8 inch hem. So at the top, this is upside down. So at the top, this is 6 1/4 plus ½ inch for seams. At the bottom, it's 6 1/2, so it does get a little wider as it gets bigger. We've got the beveled pocket, 6 long. That feels like about 1/4 of an inch in there. And that's 3/4 of an inch. So 6 plus 1 plus 1/2. All right. That's easy to just hand draw out. Okay, something else to note, there is a very small dart right here. So let's get some measurements here and see where it needs to go. So 3.5 inches, but then I'm also going to put back in my seam allowance, and then from here it's 7 inches in from this seam and 6 inches in from this seam. This is an itty bitty dart. Let's figure out the waistband here. Putting my seam at the 5/8 inch line. So it looks like it's 5 3/8. So, which means that my piece of t-shirt I need to cut in, if I want to keep the full waistband, needs to be 10 6/8. And then we're working with 3/4 inch elastic. This, I will make this measurement my waist measurement so that it fits appropriately to me. I've got the bottom of the shirt folded up, and I'm just going to line my ruler up at that 5 3/8 line. And using my rotary blade, I'm going to just cut. So because this t-shirt was fitted, the edges don't line up here, so I'm just going to lop these off and even it out. And again, I'm using so I am going to be cognizant of this corner to not use, because I want to avoid this tear in the embroidery. And then I'm also realizing that this is the outside and this is the inside, because here is the seam, and so I want this to be the inside of my pants. And then I'm lining my hemline up with the edge of the tablecloth. For my butt pockets, I line them up along the pre-existing hem the same way. And after I've got everything all cut out, I have quite a bit of scraps left over. I probably can get away with making a pair of shorts or something along those lines. And I'm going to be using 100% cotton thread. It will shrink better, wear better in consistency with the pants than a poly thread would do. And I'm also going to overlock all the raw edges of the pockets to keep them from fraying. Okay, the butt pocket placement was centered over this dart. Like that. Okay. So I'm going to take all these edges, I'm going to tuck them in about 3/8 of an inch and then top stitch the pockets in place. So I'm going to put what's called a tack bar at the top of the pocket on both sides and then top stitch in between the two tack bars. They will help that pocket stay attached to the body of the pants and not pull away. To do that, I set my machine to a zigzag stitch at approximately a 2.5 zigzag width and a 0 stitch length. I'm right on the corner of the pocket. I'm just gonna do 4 or 5 stitches. I'm resetting to a centered straight stitch. Okay, now just as I'm getting to the top again, I'm 1 stitch away from the top. I'm putting it back to that zigzag setting. And that gives us nice structural support. My teeny tiny tack bar. Okay, I've got the butt pockets fully installed, and I had the realization, if I am making my own clothes, why am I not putting more pockets? Like, there is absolutely no reason for me to not put more pockets. So before I go in and sew any more seams into this, I'm going to add pockets. So I do keep a pretty generic set of pocket patterns laying around that I can incorporate into pretty much anything. And so these are going in. Why not? So this pocket install is actually one of my favorites and easiest. Basically, all you do is you place the pocket on the hip seam of all 4 pieces. So back, front on the left, back, front on the right, and then open them out. And then when you sew the side seam, you come up and sew around like this. They're really easy. Okay, so all of my interior seams are overlocked and flat felted because that is how the original vintage pair of pants are, and I wanted it to be the same. Okay, I have both legs sewn, assembled, and now to connect the right leg to the left leg, I've got one leg inside the other, right sides together. So I'm seeing the wrong side here and the wrong side here. And then I'm just going to sew this U, and that will sew the two pieces together perfectly. I am also going to serge and flat felt this seam as well. Okay, here's where these are at. At this point, I just need to go in and add the waistband. Alright, so let's talk about this waistband. On one side, I sewed the front to the back all the way from the top to the bottom. On the other side, however, I left a 1-inch gap, 5/8 of an inch from this edge. This is going to become where we insert our elastic casing. And now I'm sewing it right sides out, matching my raw edges. So I'm actually making the executive decision that I want to make this waistband smaller. So I'm actually going to cut it in half at this halfway point. That'll actually give me a second waistband for the shorts. And I think that that will work better for me. It's the beauty of making your own clothes. You get to make these decisions. Alright, to attach the waistband, we're going to have to do a little finagling. The waistband is not as long as the linen pieces of the pant body, and that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. So in order to get there, though, what we're doing is we're just stretching the knit a little bit, pinching, and then pinning. Stretch the knit, pinch, pin, and then just keep going, working your way all the way around. You'll see a little pucker like that, but that's okay, because as you go through the sewing machine, just give a little tug on the knit. So I attached the waistband to the pants with a long and skinny zigzag that will allow a little bit of stretch in the knit. I then overlocked and top stitched in place. Which side is it on? So the elastic opening is right here, and so I'll feed my elastic through, close this up with a slip stitch, and then they're good to go. To create my elastic casing, I set my stitch at a long, thin zigzag, and then I'm keeping my elastic pressed up against that seam right there. I'm not stitching over my elastic, I'm just using it as a gauge to make sure that I make my elastic casing the right size. let's compare how the two pair of pants stack up. So 1 pound even. And these are 15 ounces, so they're about an ounce less than these. So that's pretty comparable in weight. And yes, I did change the waistband, I know. And the other thing that I did notice is that this seam kind of dips. All right, and here are the two pairs stacked on top of each other. And other than the extra 1.5 inches here to make the thicker waistband, they're lining up pretty spot on. I think the legs might be a skosh wider. Holding the center crotch seam to see if these two line up. And they do. So overall, I think these are a pretty good success. Let's try them on.
I'm actually really happy with how these turned out. One of the things that I'm excited for is the more you wash linen, the softer and the more drapey it gets. These have a great drape for now, but I'm excited to see how they drape a little bit more after they've been laundered a few times. I love the fact that I made the decision to add pockets. I'm also really happy with the fact that I decided to shorten the waistband. That fold over waistband is great, but I could live without it. One of the things that I do notice sometimes, it just, if I wear my blouse tucked out, it adds a little bit too much bulk where I don't have that now. So that makes me super happy. If I were to make them again, I would go in and straighten out that point that's at that center front region, but it's not such a detriment that I'm going to go in and change these. Just moving forward if I do it again. And that's just a matter of making a few minor tweaks to the pattern, so I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, overall, I am super happy with these. And I can't wait for my October cruise to have a nicer reason to wear them. All right, that's everything for this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love you all, whether you're new or old here. And I'll see you next week for more shenanigans.